In this episode, we talk about cash versus insurance. It's a question I get all the time, but I think it's the wrong question to ask. It isn't about whether you should take cash or insurance, and people think that, oh, I'm the cash-based rehab guy in the Chiro world. No, I'm not. I am the business guy. I want your business to be successful. So this conversation starts as a should I take cash versus insurance, and it goes way, way deeper. I appreciate all you guys listening. If you have any questions, please just reach out. I'm happy to help, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Business School for the Rehab Chiropractor. Class is officially in session. My name is Justin Rabinowitz, and I am a rehab chiropractor on a mission to teach you, a fellow rehab chiropractor, the exact tools and systems I've used to build my own successful rehab chiropractic practice so you can do the same. I hope you enjoy, and please subscribe. Hey guys, Dr. Justin here. I don't actually think I've ever introduced myself as Dr. Justin. Justin Rabinowitz here, another episode. Podcast has been doing awesome. So much good feedback. Again, please like, rate, review, subscribe. Do all of the things that we do in the podcast world. Truly, it seems to be having an impact on people in our rehab chiropractic space. So, I appreciate all of you out there. Today, what I'm going to talk about is that cash versus insurance debate, and I'm going to get into the details and the nitty-gritty of it. But before that, let me just give you some dates that are coming up that might be relevant to you and might be helpful. Potentially, we could even meet up at some point if you're out there. So I got a lot going on over the next 2 to 3 months, and I'm super excited for it. Some of you may know on April 30th, we will be down in Nashville, Tennessee with Jasmine Brown and Travis Rogers. If you guys are in the Nashville area, surrounding area, want to make a weekend trip out of it, we are going to do a pop-up mastermind there, it's free of charge. It's, for me, I really want to bring people together, build this community. We're going to spend the day going through business principles. We're going to go through business planning, specifically in the rehab chiropractic space so that you can practice the way you want and also run a wildly successful business. So April 30th, we will be in Nashville. Again, if you're listening, if you're anywhere remotely close or want to take a weekend trip, we're going to spend the day going through business things. And then after that, we're going to go and have a good time. So, please reach out if you're interested. You can email me, coaching@strivetomove.com. Shoot me a message on Instagram at Justin Rabinowitz, which many of you guys follow me there. Either way, that would be absolutely fantastic to help me meet more of you guys. On May 12th and 13th, I will be in Orlando for my own mastermind. I'm a student in that I've been part of for 4 or 5 years. And that's, just to kind of give you a little insight into what that looks like, just for some of you guys that are interested in taking the next step business-wise. For me, I've been in this group 3 to 4 years. I think this is year 4, and it's essentially a boardroom. We meet for 2 days every quarter. We show up with a 12-page prep document, which asks all the questions about our business over the last 3 months. We have metrics and financials, and then essentially we are put on the hot seat for about 2 hours each, where we present what's going on in our business, and we have our peer group and then our group leader that sit there and basically pick apart anything that we have. What usually happens in these groups is you arrive with what you think is the problem and you leave with a completely different solution to a problem you didn't know existed. And again, that's the power of being in business groups and mastermind groups and peer groups, because you get outside of the echo chamber and you have people, essentially, we think about it as like board members, people that they're invested in your business in theory, but at the same time, they're not. And so they can give advice that is unbiased, that really at the end of the day has no impact on them, even though they want to see you do well. And I think that could be the most important part of the entire journey. So that's May 12th and 13th in Orlando. That's my own mastermind. On May 17th, I will be in Miami spending time with 2 of my rehab chiro clients, Dr. Karen Malley, and I will also be there with Dr. Mike Tonroy and his fiance, Trish. They are opening up a practice pretty quick, very soon. So I will be in Miami on May 17th. May 18th and 19th, I will be in Austin, Dr. Ross Bombin's office We will be working with his team and staff. Another client, we want to help grow his business, and I'm super excited to get to Austin. And then May 21st and 22nd, I will be in Dallas with Dr. Josh Satterley through Parker University. He's teaching a course with his clinic gym hybrid, and he asked me to, help him out, assist him. So I'm going to be doing a lecture, a short lecture while we're there, tying together some business principles, some sales and marketing, and through his program. He has developed a great program with the clinic gym hybrid, and it's interesting. He and I have been talking recently about it, and how we both really want the same thing. We want to help, chiros in our space, rehab chiros, figure out how to grow their business, make more money, and live the better life that they really want. And, his idea is to sort of take what you already have and add this gym model to it. I think it's phenomenal. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. But what was interesting is, in my world, we don't really, tell people that's what they should do. And Josh and I were talking, we actually came to the same conclusion, which was there are many people that want to do the clinic gym hybrid, but they haven't figured the clinic out first. Right. And we both thought the same thing, that there's so many people that almost get distracted with their clinic, like it's not going well. So then they just want to add a gym. And we both got to the same place of like, no, the clinic needs to be solid. We need to build that business first. And then in addition to a value add would be the gym hybrid to it. So that's on May 21st and 22nd. If you are interested in attending, you can sign up with a discount code. I don't exactly know how long that's lasting, but there is a discount code. If you shoot me a message, I will give you a discount code to get to that seminar. It's going to be a great weekend. As always, you guys know clinical seminars, business seminars, they allow us to kind of take a step back, re-energize us, gain a little bit of insight and knowledge, and go back refreshed to our practice. June 11th, we will be at the Jersey Shore. Grab your sunglasses, grab your GTL, gym, tan, and laundry. We will be smack in the middle of Jersey Shore season. We will be, I believe, at Dr. Jeremy Dinkins' clinic, somewhere in that area, doing a pop-up mastermind. That could be our best attended pop-up mastermind. You don't want to miss that. I think we have about half a dozen clinicians coming at this point, and I haven't even really, put the word out there yet. So we've got a lot of our Jersey Shore rehab chiro friends down there that I think are going to show up, and we're going to have a great day. And then I will be in Hermosa, Irvine area in California the week of July 11th. I will be seeing another one of my clients, Dr. Mamak Shakib, and she has a wildly successful practice out there. And again, if anyone else is in the area, wants to meet up for coffee, hang out, come to the office when we're there, please just reach out. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to connect. Whew, so that was a lot. All right, now we got to get into it. So this actually this podcast topic started with a post that was in the FTCA, the Forward Thinking Chiropractic Alliance forum. And there was somebody that was asking, the age-old question about cash versus insurance in their practice. And everyone's got an opinion on if you should be cash, if you should be insurance. Screw insurance. Cash doesn't work. Cash doesn't work in my town. All of those things, in my opinion, are kind of irrelevant. Those are stories that we tell ourselves. Those are emotional responses. Everyone wants to say, screw the insurance companies. Okay, fine. I don't care if you want to say screw the insurance companies. When people were asking about cash versus insurance, the thing for me at the end of the day is that it doesn't matter if you're cash or insurance. It does not matter. What matters is the math on the business model, and if it works. And I'm going to break that down for you in a second. I was tagged the other day and I appreciate it, Dr. Toby DeTolo, who's down in Florida now. He posted on his Instagram something like, if you want to learn about the cash-based rehab model, please follow Justin Rabinowitz on Instagram. So I appreciate the shout out. Thanks, Toby. But it's interesting. I am not a proponent of cash versus over insurance. It's irrelevant to me if it's cash or insurance. Again, because I think it goes back to math. And I'll tell you why, and I'll give you sort of the anatomy as to why most people in my space, in the rehab chiro space, end up as end up as cash. But that's not a requirement. We have members of our mastermind program that are either hybrid, some insurance, some cash, some completely in network. And it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that your business runs in a way that's going to make it profitable so that you can have the life that you want, so that you can hire staff, so you can actually pay the wages, and so that you're not broke. And that's the most important piece. There are people in the cash-based world that charge less than what they would get reimbursed from insurance. And so at that point, it doesn't matter if you're cash or insurance. It's at the end of the day, that math does not work. Now, because I mainly work with people in the rehab chiropractic space, the thing that means is they spend more time on average with a patient. And so, minimum, that would be 15 minutes. Some people do 30-minute appointments. At our office, we have moved to 1-hour appointments, and we started that in 2020. Prior, we were 30-minute appointments. But again, if you're doing rehab, typically rehab takes time. If you're spending time with a patient, then you have to make sure that you're charging an appropriate amount to get reimbursed. Like I said, you guys are all smart people out there. You have a doctorate degree. Most of you have undergrad degrees. You guys are very, very smart. But we cannot forego the basics that we learned in the 4th grade. We learned how to do math. And all we have to do is look to see what we need to make in order to be successful in our practice. And then we can sort of back into the numbers that happen with it. So if you're out there and you're doing 30-minute appointments, so 2 patients an hour, and you are a cash-based practice because you say screw the insurance companies, but you're charging $60 for that 30-minute appointment, well, $120 an hour at scale with a staff and with rent and overhead, how many patients, how many hours do you need to work to actually make a livable wage? And that's the point of this. It's irrelevant whether you're cash or insurance, because in that situation, okay, you're making 60 cash and insurance would be 55, right? The numbers aren't enough of a spread to actually make a difference. And so what we have to do is understand the basics of math of what we need to charge in order to be successful. Now, I want to lay this out for you because I get a lot of people who get emotional about potentially the rejection that they'll face when they charge cash and they raise their rates to an appropriate level, and that people will say no to them. But what you have to do in that situation is you really have to sit down with the numbers without emotion attached to it and actually see what has to happen in order for you to either make the same amount or more money. So as a thought exercise, just take out a piece of paper and write this down. So let's just say you are doing 1-hour appointments and you are charging, for ease of numbers, $150 for that hour. Okay, I'm not saying that's good or bad. Let's just play with me for a second here. Those are the numbers, $150 an hour. What if I told you you're going to charge $300 an hour? Okay, fine. Put that on a piece of paper. With basic math, how many people would have to say yes at $300 an hour to make the same amount of money that you would at $150 an hour? I chose those numbers on purpose. It shouldn't be a hard math equation. 1 out of 2 patients at $300 an hour has to say yes to become a patient of yours in order to make the same amount of money that you could at $150 an hour. So essentially, you can get it right half the time, and you can work half of the time and make the same amount of money. Most people don't think of it like that. All they would think about is no one wants to pay. And I just saw 2 patients and one said no. And over the course of 3 or 4 months, let's just say that's 40 patients total. And I now had 20 patients tell me no. Oh my God, 20 patients told me no. If you look at the math though, if you're charging double the price, only half of the patients actually needed to say yes in order for you to make the same amount of money. And what we did in that specific scenario is we just opened your business up for the best possible situation. We now bought back your time. So you, at $300 an hour in this example, are working half of the time treating patients and bought back the other half of your time to go and grow the business. And so if I'm you, this is the revelation. This is the best thing that's ever happened to you. Now, what you have to get over is the emotion. What you have to get over is the emotion of half of the people now telling you no. And what you need to look at is what the numbers tell you. And this is what I think is the most important part of being cash insurance or just the mindset of a business owner. And this is why the math is important, right? So let's say you're at $150 an hour and you say, I'm going to raise my price and it's $195 or $200 an hour. Now, I'm not going to do the math with you. You can do it yourself. If you only raise your price a certain amount, well, now it's not half. You have to get more than half. And at that point, you have to understand, is it worth it? When you raise your price $5, $10, $20, is that going to make a significant enough difference? And if more people start saying no at a reasonable level, am I actually going to start losing money? And so the strategy and pricing strategy at that point, if you're cash to have the appropriate rates, becomes the most important thing. Now, going back, the cash versus insurance. In business, and if you're sitting here listening, write this down. Business is just a game of solving problems. It isn't if you're going to have a problem. The question becomes, what problem do you want? What problem do you want? I've had many people come to me emotionally. They might open a practice. They start as cash because they want to get going with it. And they're thinking, maybe I should take insurance. My patients are pressuring me to take their insurance. They're not going to come back if I'm not taking their insurance. I understand. I get it. But again, that is an emotion. That is not true. That's not the reality. The reality of the situation is that you have to make sure you're doing what's right for your business model. Now, if you have people that are saying no, because you're cash, I would say you don't have the skills right now to be able to communicate in a way that gets them to want to pay. I will not accept that nobody in your town will pay cash, that everyone wants to use their insurance. That's a story. That is a story you're telling yourself. And if you need me to tell you that is a story, then I'll be that guy. That's fine. But I am not going to let anyone that listens to this podcast just think that their town's different, their business is different, they live in the middle of this town, they live in the middle of this area. Like, that is not what I'm going to allow you to do. Now, going back, people say, well, maybe I should just take insurance to get started. Maybe you should if it fits in your business model. However, understand, it is not a game of not having problems. It is a game of saying, what problem do you want, right? If people pay, they pay attention. Write that down. When people pay, they pay attention. So in our practice, we are not cheap at all. We are very expensive. But once we get someone to commit, they are pot committed. Why? Because they're paying a lot of money to be there. And so it is in their best interest to really pay attention. And guess what? I bet, there's no way to measure this, but I bet we get better results than someone charging half the price. I don't even think it's because we're better at what we do. I think it's because our patients are more committed to getting better. They're going to do their homework. They're going to follow our advice. They're going to show up for their appointments. And so it's not a game of, are you going to have a problem? It's a game of, what problem do you want? So what we always say is, the less they're paying, the more likely they are to leave. Right? So if you go and take insurance, yes, it'll be easier to get people across the line to get started with you. However, you will run into the problem that people will not stay long enough. They often will not complete their plans of care. They might not pay attention as much. They might not stay long enough for you to get the results they want because they came to you potentially not because they knew you could solve their problem, but because you took their insurance. There's a massive difference. Let me say that again. They're coming to you not because they think you can solve their problem. They are coming to you because you take their insurance. That is a transaction. The extreme example of this is in our profession, those PI mills, right? The mill style. And if I've talked to a lot of chiros that work in those situations that want to leave to start their own practice, because one of their frustrations in those type of practices is that people don't show up for their appointments. They definitely don't do their homework. They actually don't even want to get better, right? All of those things happen because it's a very easy in. And because it's an easy in, it's also an easy out. So remember, if you're struggling to get people in because you're cash, fine, go take insurance, but recognize now it's going to be harder to get them to stay. The other part, going back, is understand the math. So in that example, let's say you're charging $150 for 30 minutes. Let's just say that. And you are just starting a practice and people are saying no. Well, the first thing I'd say is, well, you don't know how to communicate in that way and you need to learn that. Shoot me a message because we can help with that. But the next thing that I would say is, okay, let's say you do take their insurance. And now for that 30-minute appointment, you're being reimbursed $50, which is possible and very common, a common reimbursement. So now, Dr. Smith, how many people do you need to say yes at 150 versus 50 in order to make the same money? Well, the answer is 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3. Think about that for a second. You can get 10 people in the door, or 20 or 30, but out of every 3 people at that price point versus what insurance would pay you, 1 out of 3 need to say yes. I like my chances there significantly better. The worst thing that you can do in that situation, is let the emotion, I just want to help people. I know you want to help people. I get it. So do I. That's not what we're dealing with here. The people that often tell me they just want to help people, what that's actually code for is I don't like feeling rejection. Is that you? Because that is a different problem. And part of being a business owner, part of growing as a person, part of being a human is developing self-awareness. Well, I just want to help everyone. Well, I want to be a community leader. Well, great, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But is it just that you don't like dealing with rejection? Because here's the deal, right? The math doesn't change. The math does not change. So if you told me you were going to take insurance and it's going to be $50, I'm going to tell you that you have to change your business model because you absolutely cannot spend 30 minutes with a patient and make $50 if you have any interest in growing your business. That's not going to happen. You cannot generate $50 per patient, per $100 an hour. The math just doesn't work. And then we haven't even gone down the rabbit hole of saying, all right, the insurance is reimbursing you 50. Now you have a billing company taking 10%. So cut that right off the top. Then you have to deal with all of the back end of this, which once you start dealing with insurance at scale, the amount you're going to need a separate person just to handle the billing and insurance side of it, along with the billing company. So that's another $20 an hour employee. So now all of a sudden you've taken that 50 and chopped it down by how much? Where if you, in theory, at $150, all you need is to have a credit card processor that when you get started, before you start to grow, you can just do it yourself. And all you're paying is the credit card fee, not the billing fee, which is significantly higher, not the admin fee, not the time spent to go confirm the benefits and then appeal and then do all that type of stuff and all those things that you know that you don't want to do. So the idea is that you, as the medical provider here, as the doctor, as the business owner, have to be able to make the decision that's best for you, best for your patients, and best for your practice. What I encourage everybody here to do is take a step back, take the emotion out of it, and be objective. Being an emotional business owner will get you in trouble. It's gonna ruin your business. And if it doesn't ruin your business, what's even worse than ruining your business is keeping you in a mediocre business. And I don't want that for you. There's a guy out there, Alex Hormozy, who I follow, and I love his line. He said, there are a lot of broke people out there, and I don't want you to be one of them. I agree with that. If you're thinking the wrong way, if you get emotional about taking insurance or running a business model that does not work for the type of service that you're providing, you are going to be broke. You are going to be broke. And that is not the school's fault. That is not the profession's fault. If you are a business owner and an entrepreneur, that's your fault. Now, the good news is you can fix that and you can change it. And you don't have to think that way, and it doesn't need to be that way. But you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to make some hard decisions. You have to be willing to do things that are uncomfortable, that might not feel good in the moment. You have to develop your skills. You have to develop your skills. And I'm not talking clinical skills. You have the clinical skills. At some point, you out there, if you want to practice the way you want to practice, have to learn how to run a business. You have to learn how to sell and communicate and market in a way that gets people to pay the fees that you need them to pay so that you can deliver the service that you want and that they need and that what's best for them. This was supposed to be a 10-minute podcast, but obviously once I get going, you can see it gets a little bit crazy here. So listen, to recap, tactical cash versus insurance. For me, it's a question of business model. I am not a proponent of cash. I'm not a proponent of insurance. I'm a proponent of you having a successful business. As I said before, I have people in my mastermind group who are 100% insurance-based. I have people that are 100% cash-based. I have a couple people that are a hybrid, that have some insurance and some cash. I do not care. It's completely irrelevant to me. I'm unemotional towards about the insurance. If it works for your business, fine. And if it doesn't, that's fine too. But the math has to work. It is not okay to go through 25-year career of just being pissed off because you're not making any money and it's the school's fault. It's not the school's fault. It's your fault. It is your fault. You can fix it though. Listen, I'm here to help you. If you need anything, you can email me, coaching@strivetomove.com, or hit me up on Instagram @JustinRabinowitz. Ask me a question. I'm happy to get on a chat with you. We can schedule a Zoom. I do it all the time. I want to make sure that we are putting ourselves in the best position to find success. I genuinely believe that the rehab chiropractic community, is the best thing that's ever happened to this profession. But we can't be the best kept secret. We can't go out of business. We can't be miserable because we're not making any money, that we can't support our family, that our spouses don't like us. All of these things that happen because our business is unsuccessful. It doesn't have to be that way. So reach out. I'm here to help you. I want to help you. Email me, DM me, call me, show up I don't care. The bottom line is, the more success that you guys have, the more success we all have. Don't be a stranger. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, again, please reach out. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And if you found this content valuable, here are 4 ways I can help you for free. 1, grab a copy of my free guide, the Rehab Chiropractor's Checklist. You can get that at go.drjustinrabinowitz.com/guide. That's go.drjustinrabinowitz.com/guide. 2, go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram @Justin Rabinowitz, where I post business content. 3, subscribe to my weekly newsletter by sending me an email at coaching@strivetomove.com. And 4, leave us a 5-star review so we can gain access to more influential people and bring those lessons back to you.